Hey, this is Wargamer Sean doing the third part in Codex, Adeptus Mechanicus, the Skitarii. So we're going to go through the formations here and then some final thoughts. So I'm just going to get started here. In the part one, we kind of discussed warlord traits and war gear and special rules for the Skitarii. And last part two, we did all of the units that were available for Skitarii, and we're going to do the formations now. So the first one is the Battle Maniple. Now, in the first video, we did talk about the main detachment, which is the Skitarii Maniple. This one is a formation, and it is you must take 1 unit of Skitarii Vanguard, 1 unit of Skitarii Rangers, 1 unit of Ruststalkers, 1 unit of Infiltrators, 1 unit of Dragoons, or 1 unit of Ballistari. So that's the only one where you get a choice on one or the other, and then 1 unit of Onager Dooncrawlers. Codex Mechanicus. In this formation, if it's your primary detachment, you can re-roll the result when rolling on the Warlord trait Skitarii. Furthermore, your Warlord has preferred enemy special rule, which is like the Maniple, the main detachment. Data lock. Models in this formation are within 12 inches of the Onager Dooncrawler from this formation are leadership 10. Tireless advance. All models from this formation have the Crusader and Scout special rule. Units from this formation cannot outflank due to this Scout special rule, but can do so as a result of a different special rule, such as Infiltrator mission special rule. So basically, this one, except for the leadership one, leadership ability, is basically the same as a Skitarii Maniple, and everything else is pretty much the same. It's pretty much forcing you to take a unit of everything. I don't know. I think most people are probably going to take the Skitarii Maniple because I don't think they necessarily want to have be restricted to this, but people may. I don't know. Maybe people will play it. It kind of leads into the next formation. Now, this one is an odd one because GW likes to set rules and then break them when they come out with new codices. So the war cohort is 3 battle maniples. Now, the designer's note is, although units cannot normally belong to more than one detachment, units from a battle maniple that is part of a war cohort are an exception, and they count as both formations and have all associated special rules. If your warlord is part of the formation or army list that makes up part of a war cohort, then the entire war cohort is your primary detachment. I don't know why they don't just say, because like some of the other detachments, they go, okay, it's made up of these formations or these detachments. So why didn't they just say that? And then they could have just listed the special rules again. Because they list it that you get to reroll your warlord trait, and they have preferred enemy. And then they have enhanced imperative resolution. If your army includes 1 or more detachments or formations with this special rule, you can once per game choose to reuse a doctrina imperative that your warlord has already used earlier in the game. Now that is good because being able to use the same one more than once is really nice. But you have to have 3 of these battle maniples to make a war cohort. So I mean, and potentially, I suppose the problem is, here's where if it was just limited to the troops and the elites, I'd see people doing this, maybe even the fast attack. But the fact that you have to include the Dooncrawlers and Dragoons or Ballistari is going to make it take at least 3 of those Dooncrawlers. I don't see people doing that a lot, honestly. I could be wrong. But that's the way I see it. Now, we're going to go and do some more of the other 2 formations, which I think maybe played a little bit more. Now, the next formation is the Skitarian Killclade, and that's 3 units of Skitarian Ruststalkers and 1 unit of Skitarian Infiltrators. They have malignant susurrations. All enemy models within 12 inches of a unit of the unit of Skitarian infiltrators from this formation are affected by the unit's neurostatic aura special rule. So instead of 6 inches, where you're lowering weapon skill, initiative, leadership, it's 12 inches instead. I think that's actually pretty worthwhile. Slaughter sprint, once per game on any game turn after the first turn. Skitarian Ruststockers from this formation can charge the assault phase even if they ran in the same turn. So that's a good thing too. It's like the old fleet of old. Yeah, I mean, I think this formation may be used because I think it's decent, especially the 12-inch bubble for the neurostatic aura. That's pretty big. You know, if you can keep them alive and affect multiple units, that's pretty nice, especially affecting their weapon skill and ballistic skill. I mean, it's going to help keep these guys alive. And with you know, Doctrina Imperatives, a lot of times you're going to be at a higher ballistic skill, or sorry, weapon skill in close combat, which is nice. So the other one is the Iron Strider Cavaliers, and this is 2 units of Sidonian Dragoons and 1 unit of Iron Strider Ballistari. So they have acute senses and outflank, so they get to reroll which side they come in when they outflank. And then ident confirmed at the start of the first game turn, nominate 1 character in the enemy army, models from this formation, re-roll failed to wound rolls against the nominated character and its unit. That's a nice bonus. Mind Link Hunters, models in this formation can always trace line of sight and shoot through other models in this formation without conferring a cover save for shooting through an intervening unit. So this is really nice. Like, I wish it would allow like 2 units of Ballistari and 1 unit of Dragoons, but it doesn't. But you know, if you have basically a squadron of Ballistari, and you put kind of 1 out of cover to get line of sight on something, and the other ones are kind of in cover, potentially getting cover saves, and still have line of sight. They still have to have line of sight to the unit they're shooting at, but they can use the 1 to shoot and not confer any cover saves to the enemy unit, which is really nice. It's pretty big. The Noose Titans, all units in this formation must be placed in reserve. When making reserve rolls, make a single roll for the entire formation. In addition, start making the reserve rolls for this formation on your first turn. On a successful reserve roll, all units in this formation arrive from reserve. That's really big too. It's almost like having a drop pod unit. I mean, if you have a really shooty army, that's going to be hard for these guys. They could potentially deploy a few units to try to keep alive and try to reserve other things and have this kind of come in, or they could null deploy. Although I think these guys would benefit more from having stuff on the board. But I think both of these 2 formations are more usable than the maniples. My final thoughts for the codex, some people have been saying it's really good. I do think they have a lot of haywire. I think their grenades are probably the best grenades in the game for anybody. They have unique shooting and some powerful shooting. They don't have a lot of skyfire, but they have more skyfire than other armies do, honestly. I think it's a good codex. I think it's elite. I think it will have to be played carefully. It's not as elite as Harlequins, which are very, very much a glass cannon. The problem is that all of them have a 4-up save for the infantry. So that means half the time they're failing. And they may have Feel No Pain or Feel No Pain 6, but they're Strength 3. So anything Toughness 3. Anything Strength 6 or more is going to ignore the Feel No Pain. So I think they're going to be a tough army. I don't think they're going to be busting through winning tournaments right away. I think it's going to take a little time to get a finesse for these guys. I think allied in is a different story. I think you can ally them in and do really well. I mean, you only have to take 2 squads of troops to make a detachment, and you can put it with any other Imperial army you want to, really. So I think they're very playable. especially allied in. By themselves, I think they'll be difficult, just like Harlequins, to play by themselves. Although I don't think you're going to see them by themselves that often. But I think it's a playable army. I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's like uber strong. But I think it's a cool army. I do wish, just like the Harlequins, that they had an HQ. I would like to see them be able to make a CAD or an allied detachment. But that might be the way that GW is going. They might be eventually, if they do another edition, getting rid of the CAD altogether, and every army is going to have their own unique formation, which I guess would make troops not that important if they're not going to have as much objective secured. Although I don't know if they'd ever do away with that, because very few things, except for the Tyranids before 7th edition even came about, really has objective secured for any of their formations. So that would really kind of make troops more obsolete or not as important in a future edition, because they wouldn't need to worry about OBSEC. And I think that adds an interesting twist to the game, There's some times where I will run detachments from the codices that I want to play, like, Raiders from Lost Base for Dark Eldar, but they come with a consequence. I mean, you know that you don't have objective secured. So, it's a powerful thing to have. Right now, my Sisters of Battle don't have anything but a CAD or allied detachment, so it's nice to have. I know that I've got objective secured always. I'm hoping at some point we actually get a codex for them. I thought we would have gotten one before something like this, but who knows? I don't think they're anywhere in the pipeline. I think we're going to get Eldar, Tau, and Space Marines. God forbid we go an edition without a Space Marine codex. But I think we're going to get that before Sisters, but hopefully we get it, and they'll hopefully have some formations. Although I did see some. I probably do a separate video on this, but I saw the Promethean pipelines, or as a new fortification, and I think those would be really good with Sisters and Salamanders. So, anyway, this is Wargamer Sean. Hopefully you enjoyed this series of videos on the Adeptus Mechanicus. If you have any comments or questions or disagree with me or have ideas, please put them below. Please subscribe, and please join my Facebook page. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and I would appreciate your subscription. Take care and keep on wargaming.
Goodbye. 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 Bye-bye. Goodbye. See ya. Bye for now. Bye for now. Goodbye. I like bottoms.